And the form that destruction shall take will be the vile plagues of Clan Pestilens. RuinusInsight here, welcoming you to part 1 of a brand new modded Total Warhammer 3 SFO Skaven campaign. Chosen by community vote, the Ratman of the day is Lord Skrolk, here to lead Pestilens to their pustulant prize, Lustria, and then all Skavendom. Also, by popular demand, we will be using the Red-Eyed Skaven graphical mod, but that's it, because no other mod suggestions were updated to work with SFO, unfortunately. Anyway, before we get started, a couple of quick notes. If you enjoy this content and want to see it updated regularly, don't forget to drop your likes and comments for the algorithm down below, as scheduling is tied to engagement. If you'd like to support the channel and get access to perks, consider joining our Patreon, becoming a channel member, or purchasing your games through one of our affiliates, linked down below. As always, a huge shout out to the modders for their work, and the biggest of shout outs to you guys for your comments and support. YouTube, for now, remains my hobby, not my day job, and your comments keep it fun and keep this channel alive. Anyway, we're going to take a quick look at the faction and the difficulty setup, but do feel free to skip to gameplay if not interested via the chapters below. So needless to say, Skrolk, as one of the 7 ruling plague lords of Clan Pestilens, is all about them plagues. You could say plagues are to Skrolk as dragons are to Imric. Faction-wide, Skrolky has 100% increased plague spreading chance, bonus relationship with Nurglite factions, is buffed by plagues even as they debuff the enemy, is able to cheaply construct any plague-related structures, has a short cooldown on the plague right to get those plagues out there, and finally has access to the unique Anointed Plague Monks units. Basically super plague monks. Also, he does have a unique plague-based currency that you get for Plagueonate and stuff that I will show off once we start the game, in terms of what it does and what it unlocks. As for his own Lord effects, he has increased constant casualty replenishment, which he certainly needs because plague monks are fragile glass cannons, bonus Skaven corruption, which honestly doesn't really matter, and big upkeep reductions for all plague-flavored units. Now, if that all sounds like a one-trick rat pony, don't worry. We will, of course, be using all Skaven unit types with their own themed armies, not just going all plague. Anyway, for the difficulty setup, we're going with very hard, and the AI stats modifier dialed up all the way to the max. That's about it, so all glory to the algorithm, and let's get to it.
The age of man-things, or elf-thing, or reptile-things is over, dead. Now is the time of the rat.
Alright, that's pretty good, Skrolky. I'm kind of impressed with his starting speech. A lot of the starting speeches are like 2 words or something. Skrolk seems pretty talkative, but that does make sense as, well, what he is pretty darn devoted to the whole pestilent ideal. But anyway, here we go. How they play. Real quick, for those not familiar with the Skaven, we can use the Rite of Pestilence to Plagueonate our foes, and this will be a pretty darn big sort of part of the Clan Pestilens playstyle. Of course, we have the Build Undercity ability under enemy settlements, and generally I don't find the Undercity sort of idea particularly useful for the Skaven, but for the Pestilens in particular, who have such a reliance on plagues, they can build the plague version of the Undercity, or there's a plague building in there that can actually be quite useful. Skaven are a hungry bunch, and so the faction is reliant on the food mechanic, which gives just a bunch of buffs or debuffs, depending on where you are in the sort of bar, and allows you to colonize settlements at high tiers at the cost of food. And then we got the Skaven corruption, which allows us to summon clan rats via the Menace Below ability, depending on the level of corruption in the territory, and have access to the Underway stance, which allows us to get around a little bit faster. Lastly, engage the enemy. Lastly, we have the Pox Samples mechanic, which we collect by implaginating things. It's a word, and it gives us buffs, and it is also spent on technologies. There are a bunch of technologies here, and some of them are pretty darn strong. Some of them give us extra army abilities faction-wide. Some of them give some pretty crazy buffs to things, like the Final Blessing, giving the ability for the various plague units. I'm going to be interested to play around with this stuff and see what degree we can push certain units in. Anyway, or two rather. Anyway, there's probably buildings to build and stuff to do, but the first thing we got to do is jump into our first little cinematic battle. So, we start with a Mr. Slicin with a Hideous Stench. Bonus versus large plus 25. Attribute charge reflection, expert charge defense. Alright, not horrible. When we put him on a Plague Furnace, which is going to be a pretty big target, those abilities will probably come in handy. I do, however, wonder whether there are some heroes of the Plague Priest variety that will give us buffs specifically for Plague Monks, as that would probably be better for Skrolk's army. Nonetheless, we'll see. Let's jump into our first fight, which will not be an ambush, unfortunately, but that's alright. I'm sure we'll be able to deal with it. There is a Slan among the enemy who does have... he does have that Bolt of the Old Ones, which is definitely going to be a threat to the basic clan rats and Skaven, so I've just got to try to make sure he doesn't hit the Plague Monks. And he does have a Shem's Burning Gaze as well, which actually can do quite a lot of damage in its current state, so we'll have to watch out for those. Anyway, time to jump on in. We'll take a look at the buildings and the techs and whatnot right after. Go.
Horned ones will.
Alrighty, Horned Ones will indeed. Lord Skrolk on the field at last with his little buddy Slicin, who seems to be more of an assassin name than you would think a Plague Monk would have. But anyway, here we go. You may notice that we have the red eyes on the Skaven due to the red-eyed Skaven mod, and they're looking pretty darn adorable, aren't they? Skrolk, however, does not have red eyes, and the reason for this is that he doesn't have eyes. For those unfamiliar with the lore, when Skrolk beheld his own lord, Nurglich, who's the ruler of Clan Pestilens and is on the Council of 13, the sight of that bloated pus bag was so beautiful to behold, and that Skrolk clawed out his own eyes that he need never see anything else again, for he had seen perfection itself. Also, fun fact, I have no idea which of the Nurgliches it was that Skrolk beheld, as all the rulers of Clan Pestilens are named Nurglich. It's sort of a tradition, and it's more of a title than a name, going back to the very first Nurglich. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. Here we go, Battle 1. The Plague Clock catapults will start the day and, well, drop some of the projectiles on the enemy, though their inaccuracy will make it so that they drop a lot more on the ground. Not to worry, though, we can change that up a little bit by getting the Menace Below units to burrow out of the ground and distract a few of those enemy Saurus warriors, while we also drop that Vortex upon them as well. We do have a little bit of skirmishing going on as the Skaven slave slingers are engaging with the enemy skink skirmishers. Fortunately, these are the regular skink skirmishers rather than the skink cohorts with javelins like here, which are a lot more threatening. Never underestimate skink javelins. Or chameleon skinks, they're both really nasty, but anyway. There we go, looks like a few decent hits. The one unfortunate aspect of the skink cohorts with javelins is that they do use a tight formation rather than the loose formation of the skirmishers, which means any hit from the plague claw catapults will be all that much more effective. We have not sent in any of our clan rats, we have not sent in Skrolk, and we certainly have not sent in any of our plague monks, as there is no need to have those units damaged at the current time, with the exception of protecting our flanks as a unit of skink skirmishers attempted to get around us to get to those plague claws, and we can't be having that. Now, there's obviously no need to be trying to take these Saurus warriors directly in a melee, so we want to soften them up as much as we can. 'Tis the nature of playing the rats. Drown the enemy in bodies of the clan rats and the Skaven slaves. Alright, a nice little engagement over on the right flank going on between these skinks and the unit of clan rats. I'm not entirely sure why the skirmishers decided to actually go for the fight like this, but oh well. Good for them, I suppose. There is also a slan moving around, but I want to point out that I actually can't see the slan when playing. You can see the hidden on it. For whatever reason, the slan has unspottable. I wonder if this is something that the slan of light has, maybe? I don't remember all slan being unspottable. But it is probably very nice for it, as it otherwise would probably get sniped. Not in this particular battle, but in battles in general. Anyway, continuing to distract the enemy while dropping slings and shots from our Plague Claw on them, but it looks like the Slan will fire back as he hits our line of the Plague Monks and Clan Rats with that Bolt of the Old Ones, and hits Lord Skrolk directly with a nice Shem's Burning Gaze. Skrolk goes flying and loses about 20% of his HP for his trouble, and we still don't know exactly where that Slan Mage is, though he did reveal himself by firing off those shots. Looks like the unit of Saurus Warriors is wavering, not having engaged in any melee except with summoned units, and it looks like this unit at least will be out of the picture shortly. Now, the Plague Monks have found one of the units of poor skirmishers and will run them down fairly decently well, especially as they can slow them down with their poison application. And the other unit of Plague Monks has at last drawn close enough to reveal the enemy lord, who has launched another Shem's Burning Gaze at the other Plague Priest. Damn, nice shot. It's a decent bit of damage, admittedly, but I'm not so sure that he shouldn't have used that spell on our other units instead, as in on a infantry unit rather than on the Lord or Hero. Anyway, time to start bringing down the Slan. The Plague Monks will distract it and keep it from running, and probably dish out plenty of damage, considering while they lack armor piercing, the Slan is also relatively unarmored. Skrolk will start whacking away with his Plague Sensor. And I do enjoy the animations of him attacking with his Plague Sensor on that chain. It's a pretty nice weapon. And by the looks of it, the Slan Mage will be shattered. The enemy Saurus Warriors, just like the first unit of Saurus Warriors, have been destroyed by the combined power of our slings and our Plague Claws. And while we did take a little bit of damage on our Skaven slaves, most of our Plague Monks are completely fine. We'll run down the enemy Slan just because we can. And there we go. With that, the battle is ours. Alright, there we go, not bad. A free Sword of Strife for Skrolky to hit a teensy bit harder, and we will... now we could eat up and heal to full, as we will be needing to immediately attack the next settlement. We didn't level up to level 2 on the first round. That's a bit unfortunate, but oh well. Sell off or eat? I mean, I doubt we'd lose whatever battle is upcoming. On the other hand, yeah, take the money. 770 isn't too bad, and we'll certainly need it to kickstart our campaign. Mission successful, get us a little bit more cash. And speaking of the cash, Now, yes, Sabaton, you start with the meat styes, the pastures building, which gives us growth and food generation. And what we're going to want to do is to pretty much immediately rush food as much as possible, and growth even more importantly than that. Since Skrolk can build the cheap pox cauldrons and can recruit cheap plague monks, we need to get him those as his starting army. He probably has the most difficult start of all the Skaven lords, as he's surrounded by enemies that are pretty darn good against him, like the lizards, because there's basically no infantry that the Skaven can field that are going to be on par, anything like on par with Saurus, and similarly the dwarfs are not a good prospect because they're heavily armored and we don't have access to early game armor piercing. On the bright side though, they are rather slow and we can outmaneuver them if we're careful. Now, let's take a look at, well, I guess let's continue taking a look at buildings. We'll obviously build the meat styes here, and we'll probably want to upgrade Oishul as fast as we can. Oishul will have this corrupted spawning pool, which seems to be a sort of bigger sort of landmark than the... and recruitment cost reduction for plague monks and stuff. Nice. And construction time reduction for all buildings in the province. It does look like because of his hard start, Skrolk gets a pretty decent starting province. Nothing in the Sentinel of Time, but these two at least are pretty good. Now... and we should try to get Itza as quickly as possible, as the emerald pools will do well for us. What do we need to get the plague scheme, the pestilence scheme unlocked? It's just a pox cauldron. Okay, so that's just another reason to rush the thing. Alright, fair enough. We should probably upgrade this, but I think we might want to actually get Skrolki in our... in this territory before we do. What we will want to, however, do is take a look at diplomacy and see who's nearby. Now, the Pallid Nurslings start off at war with Itza, and that's just fine. And we'll take whatever money they're willing to offer us immediately for the Non-Aggression Military Access Pact. They will die, there's no doubt about it. They'll be dead within the next couple of turns, but any money they're willing to offer us right now will probably be good. Luther Harkin, we will want to kill off eventually, but for now... we will join their war against the Vampire Coast Mutineers and then go for the Non-Aggression Pact until we're ready to betray them in good Skaven fashion. Don't want their corruption all over the place, but we similarly don't want him attacking us, and factions have a tendency to sort of dislike and attack the Skaven. I don't understand why, considering how adorable they are, but who knows. Anyway, Clan Scrat, you're up next, and you're willing to offer us all the cash you got. Beautiful. Almost confederatable, funnily enough. And then Clan Spittle. Similarly, we'll do the trade agreement and we'll take all the money you got. This puts us up to 11k, which we will be using to recruit stuff. Next, we'll pick our only... I guess we have to start with Liturgus Infectus, which gives us -1 pox samples used per turn, which is a bit of a shame, so we'll have to be careful about this, but the free control is actually not good in the Skaven early game, so we'll probably immediately switch to Devious Plans as soon as we, get a Rattling Warren? A Rubbish Pit. Rattling Warren is for the Ferocious Plans. Alright, those are basic infrastructure structures that we'll be getting on field as soon as we can. For now, though, what do we have here, by the way? Spread the Rot. Army becomes hidden. Skaven Corruption +5, Vigor Loss +10. Why would we ever use this over Stalking Stance with the chance of ambushing? Just because it hides our army but allows us to keep moving? We could do the same thing in Ambush Stance. Except we also then get the chance to ambush. Is the army becomes hidden... I'm not sure. Maybe the army becomes hidden as like a super ambush in the sense that it cannot be found. But if it can be found, just like the ambush can be found, then I don't really understand the point of this. And doesn't look like it's actually spreading the rot. Maybe if you want to prepare the Skaven corruption in a territory before you attack it with a bunch of menace belows. I think that's the idea of the thing. We'll, I guess we'll see if we need it. Now what do we have here? A pile of skinks. I'd be willing to wager that the auto-resolve will, however, damage us heavily, so I think we will nonetheless fight this real quick. In the early game, there's going to be a bunch of smaller battles that we've no choice but to fight, especially as the Skaven. But obviously later on, these little tiny battles will be auto-resolving. For now, go.
Horned ones will.
Horned ones will indeed, or at the very least, horned ones will in its aspect as the, plague carrier, or whatever the clan Pestilens calls that aspect of the horned rat. A bit of a rivalry between the plague priests and the Grey Seers, after all, as there's a little bit of a difference in their interpretation of the horned rat. Anyway, here we go. This should be a pretty darn easy battle. It's just a pile of skinks if we didn't need to preserve our units for this early portion of the campaign. I probably wouldn't have bothered fighting it, but, well, we do need to preserve our units. Alright, Skrolki's going to move forward while we keep annoying the enemy. We've already used our first of the uses of the menace below, and we're going to pop that vortex on the enemy as well. I'm going to keep forgetting what this ability is called for a while, but the bound army ability that is unique to our faction. Alright, well, that'll annoy the enemy, but it does look like at least a few of the skink cohorts will make it into the fray. And the clan rats with shields, of course, hold them off while these slings smash into their heads. Skrolk is going to use that pestilent breath on the line of skink cohort with javelins. Especially as, once again, they're in that nice tight formation, and they gotta sit still like this, or stand still like this, to chuck those javelins of theirs. Very nice. And does about 30% of their, or maybe 25% of their HP in damage, but we've got plague shots or plague projectiles, whatever those things throw, coming down from the plague claw catapults. Over on the left flank, we've got the plague monks streaming out of the forest, and similar to the first battle where we deployed our plague monks hidden, we've deployed them here hidden as well, so that the enemy had no way to know where they were, and thus no real way to threaten them, as they are our damage dealers, and we certainly don't want them taking damage. Themselves, I mean. Let's watch the plague monks get to work a little bit. They've surrounded these two units of skink cohorts, especially now that they were distracted and their charges were blunted by our regular units of clan rats. Completely surrounded and forced to shatter. Looks like the enemy army is in pretty bad shape. A couple more hits and this rather quick battle will be over. Rear charge coming in from the plague bearers now that the left flank collapsed into the center line of enemy skink cohorts, and it looks like with that the entire enemy army shatters and the battle will be ours, giving us our first territory. One food. Alrighty, where did all those skinks go? I guess they were eaten on the battlefield. And yeah. Alright, food, treasury, $2.99, very minimal, but, well, hardly surprising considering the lack of difficulty on that particular fight. Nice. That should level us up to level 2. We are going to take the settlement to tier 1, however, and not at tier 2. And generally, in terms of investing food, you either want to take at tier 3 or above, and tier 2 is just a waste of food because you level up to it so quickly anyway. Regardless, occupy, or loot and occupy. Engineering student, armor +5 for warp fire throwers. Oh, I can't wait for warp fire throwers. As many of you know, I'm sure by now, I really do love my fire armies, and well, the Skaven got fire in droves. Anyway, and basically all the engineer stuff. Blightscab's Plague Pack, the Plague Monk Sensor Bearers are unlocked. That's nice. Looks like similar to Kotep, starting early with the Sphinx of Usek unlock, Skrolki gets access to the Blightscab's Plague Pack, which is great. These guys have the Aura of Rot mini Mortis engine effect, which I think will combine nicely with Skrolk's own. Plus, they do have the contaminated things similar to the... Oh, wait, regular Plague Monks don't have contaminated. Is it anointed Plague Monks or Plague Monk Sensor Bearers? I feel like somebody does. Ooh. We should also probably get a Lord going, shouldn't we? A second Lord to follow us around. Wait, didn't Clan Pestilens have a unique Lord? Ah, there he is. It's still around. This guy, I think, has been around since Total Warhammer 2. I think it's when the faction was introduced, generally speaking. Ooh, hello, Frontline Rat. That's good, too. Plus 15 armor for Skaven slaves and clan rats units, so that should be quite nice for us. I wonder, can only warlords get this, or can anybody get this? I'd love to have a caster, because we obviously can't be using casters until we get capacity for them. Alright, so the Eshin guys like to buff Eshin guys, go figure. Grey Seers. Nothing interesting. Well, upkeep production one isn't too bad. In fact, it's great. I don't know, I can call it too bad, but yeah, Vermintide Harbinger looks pretty good. But I think, I guess we'll start off with this Warlord, because he's unique, and I think he has a unique trait, but I don't remember what it is. Brutally honest. Income from salvage buildings plus 25%. What do you mean by salvage buildings? You mean demolish buildings? We can demolish buildings. Huh. I'm actually not sure what that means, but I assume it's demolish buildings. But anyway, yeah, this guy's unique. We'll use him to sort of follow our army around and hold any additional extra Skaven slaves or clan rats that we have. Speaking of, now we are out of capacity for Skaven slave slingers. We'll actually want to delete this structure at Oishul. I suppose we could build one at the Sentinel of Time. Or we build the Rattling. I mean, we could also wait until it's level 2. You know what? I'd rather replace this but still have access to clan rats. Let's do clan rats here. Let's demolish you. And then we will build, let's, Actually, will doing this prevent us from recruiting? I'm not entirely sure. Maybe we shouldn't risk it. You know, to build this anyway, we'll wait one turn to do you. We will, however, build up that nest layer. Or we could just risk it. You know what? We could do this. Skaven slaves, and we'll risk it with 2 clan rats. If they don't work, they don't work. Let us do... How about... I'm gonna say the spear wielders. Mostly we need them to hold the line while the plague monks do the damage. We don't really care about the other stuff. Let's do you and then demolish you. Alright. That looks pretty good to me, minus the fact that we still do need probably the food generation. The income from buildings is going to be minimal, and in fact we're going to uncollect the income as of next turn to get the additional growth, as we want Oishul to build up. We are likely to suffer some rebellions from Oishul as well, but anyway. How many territories? Wow, these guys have 3 more territories. I guess the game wants to start us off in a nice and proper war. Fair enough. Skrolk. Well, let's see what you have on offer here. So you have that Festering Filth ability, which allows us to heal, and the Festering Pool ability, which allows you to do that little mini vortex effect damage. Oh, you don't get the Aura of Pestilence until the level 13. Fair enough. We get some buffs for Plague Lord, but we don't get this until rank 6, though that is fairly early. Oh, I noticed that his sort of unique traits are built up in the old manner, not in the manner of the newer lords. Cause Terror should be pretty nice, and enemy armor reduction, vast, definitely needed. At rank 6, eh? I mean, I guess we still want to get... We gotta be careful here. I think, if nothing else, we need to build Vermintide. Usually I'd go for Root Marcher first, but Vermintide is just so useful that we gotta get it, especially while the Plague Claw catapults fire. We then, however, have to immediately rush both Plague Lord and Loathsome Appearance. Don't really care about Herald of Decay, as it doesn't really do anything for us. And the other stuff isn't nearly as important. Alright, that's Skrolk. What about you? I guess you're doing the same thing. We gotta try to get you to Vermintide. And you do have Children of the Plague, which gives us additional weapon strength for Plague Monks, which is gonna be sorely needed. And that said, you won't be capable of really fighting on your own, at least until we get a Plague Furnace for you. Alright, that looks like an end turn to me. Let's hope the recruitment thing works out, and even if it doesn't, we'll just deal with it. Alright, now will anybody immediately declare war on us? I think the game doesn't... I mean, has anybody ever encountered enemy factions declaring war on you within, like, the first turn? There's probably sort of a leeway where the AI isn't allowed to do it, but I could be wrong. It's just I never have experienced it. Alright, this is the sort of starting bonus for SFO. I pretty much always pick the time of maneuvers for the campaign movement range. Somebody suggested in a previous... in a previous campaign that you could do Time of Rebellions for the Skaven in particular to farm food in the early game, but I'm not entirely sure that that isn't too much of a buff for us. You know what I mean? It'll make the campaign a lot easier, and I'm not entirely sure I want that. Mostly I want the Time of Maneuvers to just kick off the campaign just that little extra bit faster, try to get to those elite units and get some nice fights earlier. But anyway, let's do Time of Maneuvers. It's just 25% campaign movement range for 10 turns. It's not a major enough buff to really affect anything. Now, hey, it did work. Nice. All of these guys are gotten. We then have the Blight Scab's Plague Pack, which we're immediately going to recruit. We've got a Rebellion probably coming in shortly, but we will uncollect the income. We will build the Corrupted Spawning Pool to get us additional food generation control growth. Don't really care about the control. Although, high control for the Skaven does also give them high growth. Maybe we farm rebellions in this province while we keep a high control in this one. There's potential for that as well. Now, Skrolk, you are not able to reach this place, which is okay. It's not so bad. We'll pop you into ambush stance. Right in... Is there anywhere that has a higher percent ambush chance here? Not really. Go here. Is there anybody here? There's a little tiny army here. And you, my Roxborough friend, are gonna go right here. And try to bait the enemy into attacking you. Alright, and I guess you can build a... just build another Spear Clan, right? These are all gonna be sacrificable anyway. I mean, actually, you could just keep recruiting as much as you can. I mean, I don't want to waste all of our money, because we'll still need to build the Pestilent Knave. Alright, build a couple more Clan Rats. Maybe one more. I just fill the army with Skaven slaves. We don't have the capacity, and I don't actually know what gives us Skaven slave capacity. What gives us Skaven slaves capacity? Unit capacity +1 for Skaven slaves. Okay, so it's basically any infrastructure building, except the Overseer's Lookout, which is the one that you want everywhere. I guess technically you want the giant fungi caverns with their food generation everywhere as well, so basically these. Alright, fair enough. We'll be building some of those shortly. And for now, it's on the turn. Well, let's see if these guys pop into ambush. I probably could have checked the... old... you know what? I should have kept you in our own territory. So that if we were to auto-resolve, which we'll probably do so anyway, and just pray that we don't take too much damage. Yeah, that was way more damage than I would have liked, but we did get a Skaven brew out of it. Both good and bad. I should have just fought it. Oh well. And I think if Skrolk was in our own territory, which I can't tell if he is, he would have healed up to full anyway. Oh, he was in our own territory, but he didn't heal to full. Anyway, here in Roxborough, you don't need that Skaven Brew. We'll give that to Skrolk for fighting capabilities. And he has his Liber Bubonicus and his Rod of Corruption. But that'll be rank 7 and 12, and we'll probably need his... Minus 13, eh? Hey, it's a lucky number. Especially for the Skaven. Go here. Kroxagor's Basti, oh my, and Cold One Riders. Now that's a nasty little garrison. I'm actually thinking that they would actually be willing to sally out and fight us, in which case we should be just fine. Go here. Well, let's hope that they do. If they don't, it'll be much more difficult to take the settlement, and on top of that, they have the Mystic Barriers, which ain't so great for us. Mostly because it wouldn't allow a cinematic battle, but oh well. We shall see. Let's hope that they are willing to sally out, because they will completely destroy the faction. Anyway, to do the quests, we'll need lots more Plague Monks, which we are taking towards as fast as our little rat legs can scurry there. Let's double check Diplo for this turn, though. What do we have here? Clan Spittle, willing to do another little alliance. We don't want a defensive alliance with you, we get nothing for it. Frankly, all the other factions nearby are going to be real upset about all this. Southern Sentinels kind of want peace, funnily enough, and so do the... Huh. How much money would they give us for this? 1,200 gold. They're going to get wiped out by the Awakened anyway, and the Awakened won't particularly like this, but frankly, they have bigger fish to fry than us. Let's take it. Alright. I wonder if it would have been a better idea to peace out with the Southern Sentinels, but on the other hand... Kayaks presumably was just taken by the Cult of Sotek, but the thing is, we've already moved here, so I should have done this right after the ambush. Oh well, not a big deal. Let's hope that these guys sally out and we can get a nice big fight against the Kroxagoras and Basties. I don't know if we can beat, or Basti, I don't know if we can beat them, but I do want to try, so. It's not like we aren't willing to sacrifice any number of clan rats and Skaven slaves for our purposes. Should be pretty enjoyable. Alright, come on, Southern Sentinels. Ah, no, they didn't sally out. Alright, I guess we're gonna have to make some holes in their walls then. Which means we'll have to play the battle manually, but it is what it is. Alright, well, if they're not sallying, I guess we're fighting. Huh, are they not suffering any attrition? Wait. Can't quite tell. I guess they're suffering a little bit. Now, we could sit here and besiege them for another turn until we heal to full. They are losing, by the looks of it, about 8 sores per turn, per unit, which is actually a fairly significant number. And it's not like these places are walled. On the other hand, they will be rebuilding an army. On the other hand, we've got this rebellion coming in probably relatively shortly, so we do have to be mindful of it. Now, we want to upgrade Sabaton right away. We're already growing as much as we can, and we can't go for the Pestilent Knave. We could get the breeding stock for the doggos, or the wolf rats. But they're basically doggos. This will give us food generation, money, and exotic animal cages, which doesn't actually do all that much for us in the early game, I think. Also, what does this do? Growth reduction. Casualty or punishment rate, ooh. All the other stuff we don't really care about, but the casualty or punishment rate, that hurts. That really does hurt, so we gotta be careful about the food thing. I'm glad to say we at least temporarily build up the growth structure for additional growth in this territory, then delete it later in favor of the exotic animal thing. You know, let's besiege these guys for one more turn, make the battle just a teensy bit easier. And I guess next turn we'll have to summon another lord here. Wait, is that... Yeah, Frontline Rat is still available. You know, maybe we get him on the field immediately. Rat Stimulants. I thought that said Rat Stimulus. Like, I think I like Rat Stimulus better. But anyway, just double checking if we got anybody new and interesting here. I think they're the same ones. Seeping Putrescence, eh? That's just a little bit of ammunition, though. It's probably not worth our time and effort. Let's say Frontline Rat. Let's go for the Frontline Rat. I don't want it to disappear with that lovely armor for the clan rats and whatnot. You sit there, my friend. And keep wasting our food at 5 per turn. It's 15 food just between these 3 armies, but, well, that's life for you. Anyway, we'll give them one more turn. No, we won't. We'll fight them right now. Screw it. I'm not patient enough for that sort of thing. Is it tactically sound? Is it more tactically sound to wait? Yeah, probably, but, well, what are you gonna do? And now, yeah, I would have loved to have fought this cinematically, which is one of the reasons I decided to wait rather than attacking immediately, because obviously it's more fun to watch, but unfortunately, since this is a siege battle with a garrison structure, and those are broken in terms of the game's replay capabilities, so we gotta fight it like this. Not to worry, for any future sieges where they don't have a garrison structure, we'll fight them cinematically. Alright, start battle. I usually like to deploy on this side. There is a lot of trees here, but what can you do? You guys are gonna go here. You're gonna knock down the towers best you can, and then we'll send the ratties in after. You don't need the towers, fact is you will be at a severe disadvantage. We will, however, need the ram. Put that down. And we'll pop a unit, let's say, regular Skaven slaves on it. And then send them on through. The rest of you can wait. Put the towers down as well. Alright. Like so. We could probably get some use out of the Skaven slave slingers here. And send in the other Skaven slaves. Okay. I mean, we could, in theory, send the Plague Monks up there, but it's still kind of iffy. You know what? Maybe. I'll think about it. But maybe not the Plague Monks. Let's put a couple of other Skaven slave units up there, and just units that we're willing to sacrifice and immediately rebuild as needed. We can always bombard the enemy. Alright, and I think that's all we need to do other than get Lord Skrolk and this guy over here. Is that all of you? It is indeed. Alright. Start battle. Start battle. And knock out that tower quick as you can. We'll speed on through the battle until the tower is done for. And wow, you guys do not have a lot of accuracy. They're gonna be doing that for a while. Alright, can the Skaven save slingers outrange what's on top of the walls? Let's find out. Also move Skrolk and such forward. Also, might as well move the towers and the ramp forward. And by the looks of it, they can indeed outrange what's up there. Great. We gotta wait until the siege equipment does its job after all, and we got reinforcements coming in as well. Alright, you come here, you're gonna be fighting with Skrolk and co once we get into the enemy settlement. Alright, tower's down. Decent likelihood that they'll never bother with this tower, so we'll allow the artillery to do some damage up above. Enemy will use its, I was about to say clan stone, Holy Stella. And we're just going to keep doing this until we run out of ammunition, essentially. We could send a unit of, you know what, wait until they're off the walls. Oh, look at that. Huh, Saurus warriors with shields are rushing forward. Alright, you go forward. Oh, actually, no. You go forward. You guys turn off skirmish mode. No. Don't drop the ram. You three can fight this. It's a single Saurus warrior unit. It should be routing fairly fast. Let's get the Blight Scab guys in. I don't care if this guy takes damage, but I do care if Lord Skrolk takes damage, so... Now let's allow them to do so. On the right side... Whoa, okay, I panic mode. We don't want our own artillery firing on our own units. Just like that. That's exactly what we didn't want. And they take like 20% of the HP off that one unit. Oh, I should have seen that coming. Anyway. I was like, wait, I hadn't seen the artillery fire in a few seconds. I wonder what they're doing over there. Well, that's what they're doing. Anyway, you guys get a little bit closer. And get back to firing. You know what, let's deploy one of the units of Skaven slaves up there, sacrifice them, speed it back up a little bit. Alright. And keep on firing. Oh, these Saurus are back. Alrighty, Skrolk Co. Once again, charge forward. Blight Scab's Plague Pack are here now, but I'm not sending them into combat as of yet. And there we go, not bad, not bad. Just wait for the artillery to, well, eventually run out of ammunition. Alright, you guys are in. Let's join you. And you guys get a little bit closer, and let's speed it back up for a few seconds. Alright. Bombardment will continue, at least for now. Alright, and artillery, you guys fire at this sand. It's really the Saurus that are the threat. The Kroxigors as well, but we should be able to have our Plague Monks in combination with our other units take care of them. We can... Ah, wait, I thought you weren't able to summon units inside enemy settlements. That's interesting. Okay, well, we'll probably make some use out of that. Alright, Skrolk Co. Get ready to go up on top of the walls. Plague Pack, you're going up there as well. We'll need to clear the walls. Alright, and I think we can send the ram in there now as well. Alright, and... Skrolky go up, see? Alright, and you guys... Artillery, no. Stop firing at that unit now. You're gonna kill off all of our plague rats. Or our Skaven slaves, whatever. Alright, on the right side, with you guys fighting like this, you should be able to... Now, don't tell me these guys are going to try to run away rather than fight the Skaven slaves. Come on, you're Saurus. You're bred for war. Better not be running. Maybe it's, maybe it's Lord Skrolk that they want to be running from, which, you know, to be fair. You can probably see why. Now, a good sort of rule of thumb for what the lizards should have done here is position the Basti closer so that it could have actually healed the units below, but alas, not doing so. And you guys were told to attack a specific target. Let's have you look closer and fire on that. Alright, and the ram is still moving forward with its sort of warp stone tip. Just the tip, though. He's trying to get some shots here before we have to get back to actually controlling the fight. Anyway, how are our lords doing? The lords are looking pretty good. The Saurus not so good. We could do Bless with Filth, but they should slowly be able to overcome the piles of Saurus up here. This is the benefit of having the lords and heroes on foot in the early game rather than bothering with, well, rather than having them on plague furnaces and whatnot. And there we go. A decent little bit of splash damage. You should not be sleeping, you should actually be fighting. Just gotta be careful about this. This is exactly what I was gonna say. Be careful about. Don't go down there. And certainly don't fight the Sora's Scarvet, buddy. Okay, we're gonna have to menace below to save this guy. And don't do that. He was probably chasing off one of these units, and I mean, Skrolk will survive, but you know. We have a lot more benefit of fighting up here. Alright, you guys, go here, go here, go here, go up here. And that Skaven slave unit is done, but that's okay. We got a summon unit of clan rats, which we can, funnily enough, send up here as needed. And let's get the Blightscab's Plague Pack up here. And they should be fighting pretty good. Alright, let's also move these guys together. Skrolky just try not to rout. We don't really need to use any spells. You guys are still firing. But I'm kind of wasting your shots now. Alright, it is going to take a while to take this, however. Alright, Skrolky, Skaven Brew's not going to help you. You can just maybe move away. Try not to rout up here, though. The I wonder if the Vortex works on walled things. Well, it doesn't affect friendly troops, so this is not a bad idea to find out. Now, one of our plague priest will rout, unfortunately. But that's alright. Now, will this affect these guys? It will. Predatory fighter, well, it says Vortex, so maybe. Not hard to tell. Alright, Skrolky, oh, for the love of stop getting off the wall, man. I can see why the other plague priest got off the wall. He was routing. He has an excuse. What's your excuse, man? It would be nice if there was sort of like a command to just directly tell them to, you know, stay the heck up there, but it's okay. We'll drown them in rats. We've got plenty more bodies where that came from. You know what? Send the second tower up so that we got more units to send up there. Alright, the Blightscab's Plague Pack are up there. And 3 of you can now sit up here. Good. Any enemy want to come up, they are free to do so. Alright, we do have more artillery shots, but we need to use them. Let's get a unit of... well, I guess another unit of Skaven slaves in there. I was hoping to draw the enemy Sora's Scarvet in here, but it looks like he doesn't want to go. Alright, that's fine. Start wearing them down with Skaven slaves. We've got to make at least a few of their troops more tired before we continue. No. Go through the wall. Or go through the gate. Not the tower. Go through gate. Thank you. Clan rats, you're going to be following suit shortly. They're moving, right? Yeah, they are. Alright, Plague Monks. Go here. And go here. I'm going to want you on the walls. And, I wonder. You two clan rats, climb this. I'm wondering if the enemy will react to this in any way. Because if they do, we're probably better off making use of that. Alright. Cold One Riders, you want to charge on in? Or are they really going to let us keep moving into the settlement? I don't mind. Alright, you're going to go through the gate? Good. Where are the other Plague Monks? Alright, you go to the wall. Alright, looks like our big beastie is in. Pull Blightscab's Plague Pack off the walls now, go after those cold ones. And... heroes off the walls, we need to trap and kill that Basti so it can't heal the enemy anymore. And let's trap the cold ones in here as well against the wall of rats. It's always a wall of rats. And we don't need to use Bless with Filth as it doesn't really... well, the physical resistance might be helpful here. Maybe. Alright, Skrolk, what are you doing, man? He tried to go over here and then he didn't get off the wall and... walls are so freaking buggy, man. They're just so buggy. We gotta be careful about taking damage on the heroes as they are hurt now. But it's alright. And the tower... what are you doing, tower? Go here. Alright, and it looks like some of our clan rat spears are unfortunately attempting to climb, but that's alright. Alright, how's the big beastie looking? Let's back off of these two, and leave Lord Skrolk to fight him. The gate is broken, so you should just be able to back off. Alright, Blightscab's Plague Pack still looking good. They are losing some units. Well, let's wait until they wipe out the Cold One Riders. And we can watch them do so for a little while. Alright, clan rats are taking some of the kids from the Kroxigors. Are the clan rats routing now? They are. Okay, so we'll need to send them some help. Skrolk, keep on rushing on in. And we got more Skaven slaves to come down here and take beatings for our friends. Good. You, Plague Monks, and where's the other unit, Plague Monks? Right here, go up through that. Alright, you two stay out here. You don't need to cast anything, at least until the enemy sends in a blob of units. Let's protect you from the charge. Try to focus down those Kroxies. I would like you to at least temporarily activate your Skaven brew and go after that darn Basti. Is this only on Lords and Heroes? No, it can be used on anybody, so we can use it on the Blightscab's Plague Pack should we desire to do so. Anyway, Skaven slaves, keep moving forward. Skrolk, you just got a pretty big hit on you, so be careful, bud. Alrighty, and looks like some of the skinks are moving up on top of the walls. Good. You guys are gonna go here. And Plague Monks, get ready to reinforce. Alright, Skrolk, charge back on in. Back off the Blightscabs a little bit and allow the Skaven slaves to rush forward. We'll take a look at what's happening in a second, just need to move a few more troops in. And then you guys go here. Nope. Here. Through the gate. Nope. Through the damn gate, please. The towers are busy. Go through the gate. It's right there. It's open. There's nobody in it. Go through it. Oh, sieges. You're so buggy. Alrighty, well, it's all good. Alright, the Basti is nearly done. Unfortunately, the Blightscab's Plague Pack are getting hurt, and I think at least for now we're going to need to bless with filth. Not so much once again for the poison, but just to get that little bit of extra physical resistance. Alright, more Plague Monks are coming down. Let's give chase to some of these guys. And I'd like to send more clan rats. Okay, fine. You go up this tower. Maybe you can go through the gate then, yes? Nope, you're still trying to go through the tower, which we just ordered another unit to go through. Alright, you go through the tower. The rest of you march forward, and we can... Oh, Skrolk is routing, but it's okay, he'll be fine. He can regenerate, so I'm not super concerned. I am super concerned about the Basti not being dead yet, though. But we're working on it. Alright, we'll be able to sort of overrun the enemy once the Plague Monks and other units have taken care of these guys. How's that Basti looking? Remember, Bastis can't heal themselves. The problem is that they are heavily armored. Alright, we don't have another Bless with Filth available to us, and where's Skrolk? Alright, he'll be back in a sec. He'll be fine. Are you clan rats now willing to go through the gate? Yes, they are. Oh, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful sight to behold. Alrighty, warriors are rallying. That's Skrolk, I'm betting. And, alright, these guys should be taking out the skink skirmishers with decent ease. How's that Basti looking? 79 HP, but the looks of it is about ready to fall. Beautiful. Basti is down, meaning the enemy has just lost its healer. Hit the Cold One Riders in the back. Don't bother with the Kroxigor simply because the Basti is fragile. Blightscab's Plague Pack, I'd like you to go up on the walls and get replaced by clan rats, and you can get off the walls right after. It would be nice if you killed off those Kroxigors. Now you are going to use Bless with Filth to buff up everybody's defenses, get more Skaven slaves in here, and as I said earlier, drown the enemy in bodies. More units moving in. Alright, Blightscabs, you guys are safe up here. I don't want you losing any more units because it'll otherwise take you too long to heal. Okay, make your way inside. I love this sort of style of horde gameplay where you're using piles and piles of garbage units to overwhelm a more elite enemy. It's one of the reasons that my favorite faction is the Vampire Count, and I just love doing this with zombies. It's fantastic. But the Skaven certainly scratched that itch. And by the looks of it, the enemy is done. Alright, the fight on top of the wall could have gone a little bit better, I think, but at the end of the day, we're more or less fine. And the Blightscab's Plague Pack, let's just see out of curiosity, did 28k damage, solid. Skrolk could have done a little bit more, but, well, we'll work on it. He needs to be a little bit less fragile. Probably should have popped the Skaven Brew on his minion units, but anyway. And it just took a little bit too long for that Basti to go down, which allowed the Kroxigors and other units to stick around for longer than we otherwise would have liked. Didn't even lose the Skaven slaves. Good. The pathing. Oh, the pathing. Alright, come on now. We're nearly there. I never know what to say when waiting for these loading times, which is why I usually cut them out of cinematic fights. Alright, Gleaming Pennant. You know what? Not a bad choice. I mean, granted the Lord won't die, but not a bad pickup for early game Skaven. We cannot take this at tier 3, which means we will take it at tier 1. Ah, wait. Oh, we could sack it and retake it, can't we? Yeah. There's no reason not to. The repair will be less costly than it'll... It's a tier 2, so we'll take it to tier 1 regardless. Alright, so sack it then. And stop. Reptile thing sacrifice. Weapon strength when fighting against lizardmen, sure. And you won't be able to reach Chupa Yodel, not from here, but what we can do is have you occupy the Southern Sentinels at tier 1 after sacking it. Then... don't bother collecting the income. This place is looking okay. Skrolk. We can put you in a camp stance to increase your healing capabilities, and then move here. We don't know whether the enemies will be coming from Mangrove... Yeah, it'll be from Mangrove Coast, rather than Chupa Yodel. So we'll go here. Hopefully we can link up with Clan Spittle for a little while before Itza inevitably falls upon us. Most likely they'll be taking out Quetzal shortly, but, well, what can you do? Skrolk, unfortunately you can't build any more units, but you can get an additional clan rat from Mr. Ian Roxborough. You can either grow or generate food. I guess we start with the growth and then follow up with the food generation right after. Either way, this will give us additional Skaven slave capacity, and as we saw, we certainly needed more of those Skaven slave slingers. Yeah, keep building Liturgus, Pestilens, or whatever it is. Infecticus? Prefer Infecticus. Alright, we're good to end the turn. Proceed to Mangrove Coast. There's some nice stuff here. We got the medicinal plants and the gold mine. What does a gold mine do for... if I could just... Game, if I could... Thank you. Generates a not too bad amount of gold. I'm sure they'd prefer warpstone, but you know. Hey, yeah, that's probably what they use. Yeah, even the description says it. Although they have no use for it themselves, Skaven will purposely mine gold purely to inconvenience the other race. That's fantastic. That's not what they do it for. Skaven do absolutely trade with other races and will absolutely give some guy, some human guy or some whatever guy, a bunch of gold for warpstone. But I like this description so much better, purely to inconvenience the other races. That's fantastic. Anyway, down go the pallid nurslings. Well, a shame for them. We can now take off Liturgus Infectus and go for Ferocious Plans. There's always more besides. This will give us casualty replenishment rate. And we've certainly been embodying that concept so far. Anyway, you know what I should have been doing? I should have been keeping you in channeling stance. My bad that I forgot about it. I'll try to remember to do it after this particular fight. Go into regular stalking stance. Ian. Why is your name Ian? I think this was like the director of the game or something like that. I don't remember what exactly it was. It's been too long since Total Warhammer 2, but yeah. It's named after a guy, which is why it's like a dwarf name rather than a, well, dwarf-sounding name at least. It's a human name, it's a person, but that's why it sounds like that rather than like a Skaven should. Anyway, Skrolk. I'm gonna say Vermintide. Plague Rush would be nice as well, but not as nice as Vermintide. Is anything nice as Vermintide? No, of course not. Let's not be silly. You can get Vermintide as well, sir. Good. Alright, now what do we have in the Mangrove Coast? And is it important enough to fight? Actually, I don't think it is. Meaning, we could move you here. And then we can have Skrolk. I'm not entirely sure, but we'll give it a try. Let's see if we can hit both. It would be nice if we could. Not likely, but it would be nice. Auto-resist. Okay, it'll kill off our Skaven slaves. We might have to fight it. We wouldn't be able to reach Chupa Yodel anyway. Meaning we should just do it with Skrolk. Although I suppose if Ian can move to Chupa Yodel next turn, us keeping around the movement may actually benefit us. Alright, fine then. You're gonna go into this stance just to get the additional melee attack and charge bonus, and then we'll have Ian attack and move Skrolk as a reinforcement. There is a unit of Kroxigors in here, worth a fight and to preserve our units. Go.
Hornets, rats will!
Alright, here we go. Another nice little pile of units, but that won't be moving towards us, and it will allow Skrolk to move in as a reinforcement, which works just fine for us. Now, the big threats on the field are obviously going to be the enemy Kroxigor unit, as well as the Kroxigor Ancient. He's no Nakai, perhaps, but these guys are pretty solid at mincing piles of infantry, even without a unit of Kroxies guarding them. Ooh, I like how the sort of ropes and bindings on the Kroxigor Ancient, as well as the jade and whatever they're wearing, kind of matches the red sky and the foliage, generally speaking. And the gold on the gold also matches the, well, the other foliage. It's all very nicely color coordinated is what I'm getting at. Anyway, Skrolki's on the field, and we're just going to take our time to get into proper position since the enemy is going to allow it, and then begin bombarding them as soon as we're in range. Skaven slaves out front for obvious reasons, then behind them we'll have our clan rats and such. I'm just gonna keep it in max speed until we're ready to actually fight. And then obviously the Plague Monks, Sensor Bearers, and regular ones alike are going to be on our flanks. And there we go, our Plague Claw catapults are in range and are going to start firing away. Let's see if the first volley manages to hit anything. Ooh, very nice. That was actually a solid first volley. Usually they fire just a little bit short, rather. Almost like they're trying to make a ranging shot happen, but yeah. I guess in this particular case, the inaccuracy actually worked in our favor because there were so many units around that we weren't going to miss. Kind of like what the Hellstorm rocket batteries benefit from. When the enemy's blobbed up, even with their terrible accuracy, they don't care. Alright, well that's going to be going on for a while. The rat or the Plague Monk crews will continue launching their projectiles at the enemy until they get sufficiently annoyed and move towards us. Skrolk is out front as well. He has the ability to damage the enemy after all. And if they line up in a nice big blob, we'll certainly get some use out of it. He can also now summon his Vermintide clan rats as well. Summon units we don't care about, and we can get in the enemy's way and allow more of those plague projectiles to land within their army. The red-crested skinks, I'm sure, will make rather quick work of the regular clan rats. But it's hardly a concern, and besides, we've got more where that came from. Going to join the menace below to the Vermintide summon. And they'll keep a few more units distracted while the plague projectiles continue to rain down from above. The rest of our army still does not and has not needed to do anything. Skrolk will get a very nice use of his pestilent breath through the enemy line, but it does look like the Kroxigor Ancient, it did manage to hit him and catch him. The Kroxigor runs at 45 speed and Skrolk at only 36, and the miscast is not helping matters at that run, Skrolky. You don't want to play with Mr. Spin to win back here. That's a happy looking Kroxigor. Oh, I love that spin animation. It seems so completely unnecessary. But he seems like he's having such a grand time. I remember enjoying this a lot in my Kroggar campaign previously. And this guy's hitting pretty hard. Skrolk has dropped down to about half HP, and we're going to move some Skaven slaves in to try to help him out, as well as summon more units of clan rats. Skrolk will unfortunately break, but you gotta get used to the Skaven breaking and routing at the drop of a hat. It's just going to happen, especially in the early game. Quite a lot. Although once we get piles of weapon teams and whatnot, it's not going to be such a big issue. Anyway, time for the armies to connect. Kroxigors are going to be a big threat, and they will very quickly shatter a unit of Skaven slaves who are going to back away. But we'll just keep throwing more clan rats and Skaven slaves at them, distracting them while we drop slings upon them as well. And of course, the enemy does not have the sheer numbers necessary to threaten our Plague Claw catapults, so they will be able to fire at them for as long as they want. Which is nice. Looks like where we summoned our Vortex, the enemy had a pretty bad time with the Red-Crested Skinks collapsing even before the Plague Monks really managed to arrive. Frankly, the entire enemy army is in pretty bad shape, with the obvious exception of the enemy Kroxigors and the Kroxigor Ancient. That said, the Kroxigors are now getting focused down by our Slingers and our newly arrived Warlord and Plague Priest, whacking away at them as well. Gonna have to definitely rely on our single entities dishing out damage to units that the rest of our Clan Rat and garbage pile of units can't really deal with. But that's just fine. On top of that, we of course do have our Regiment of Renown, the Blight Scabs Plague Pack, who are going to use that contamination ability that they have to help us bring those Kroxigors down and break them with a reasonably decent speed. Looks like pretty much the only thing left in the enemy army is the enemy Lord and the Ancient Kroxigor, who is still having a pretty grand time. The clan rats aren't really all that much of a threat to it, and it's going to be... oh wow, I love that backswing though, beautiful. And the punch. Oh, the animations of the Ancient Kroxigor is pretty great. There we go, sending them all flying, the last one on the field, but this is a hopeless fight. It's all rats all over the place. There's thousands of them, and I don't think you can deal with them all. Especially now that the more heavy-hitting plague sensors are moving in. They have armor piercing, and they certainly have the damage, no matter how much you spin to win. Looks like the Kroxigor is wavering now. Contamination's not helping. Maybe a couple of the enemy units will attempt to come back, but Skrolk and his Plague Priest pal and the Warlord Ian move in and force the enemy Kroxigor Ancient to shatter. That was a pretty glorious stand for the Kroxigor, though, just smashing all those rats asunder, but alas, we always have more rats. Alright, very nice, very nice. So relatively minimal losses, and that confined primarily to the first line, which was the Skaven slaves, the second line, the unshielded clan rats, and then relatively minimal on the third and fourth lines, the plague rats, or the plague monks, and the clan rats with shields. The Blight Scab guys started the battle hurt, which is why they remain. So, once again, we're going to loot and occupy. We'll keep the food as it is for now, and it is in fact green now, which may not be such a bad thing. More early game growth, trying to get to that Plague Monk ability. Loot and occupy, please. Alright, Ian, you can sit there with that reptile thing sacrifice. Lord Skrolk gets an armor of silvered steel, which frankly he did kind of need, as he's still pretty fragile and will be for a decent while. We do want to heal up as much as we can. I'd love to auto-resolve Chupayodel, but I'm not entirely sure that the game will let us. We do have now capacity, so we'll get some Skaven Slave Slingers, while Ian Roxborough gets, well, all the other Skaven Slaves. Spam those. Alrighty, the Rebellion here is coming as well, so we will need Pustin to have more Skaven Slave Slingers as well, but, well, we'll have to wait a bit. Mangrove Coast. Yes to the Slave Wharf. The growth will be nice. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, -6, eh? I mean, we could switch to the bonus control to stave it off if we wanted to, because we won't have an army here for a little bit. We could, however, build him some basic clan rats. I don't think they're going to be expensive, and he can build them in one turn, so we do have time. That'll probably be fine. Probably. His armor is for Skaven slaves and clan rats, is it not? Yeah. You know what? Build 1 unit per turn so that you're doing something. Let's say spear wielders. Alright, and the rest of you stay here. Skrolk, you have Vermintide. Let us get to you. This is rank 6, so the next 2 points we have to save, but for now let's get your Plague Rash. It's honestly not much, but the Vigor loss reduction is swell. A big part of this strategy with Skaven, especially in SFO, but in vanilla as well, is tiring the enemy army out before sending in your more elite troops. It's a similar strategy to what is quite effective for the vampire counts as well. Anyway, you have Vermintide, but you should get another point in it because we spammed the heck out of that. And you're fine, I think. Okay, you're maxed out, right? Yeah, okay. I was gonna say we should just replace the Skaven slaves when they get damaged, which we will do, but we need to actually have you build them. Anyway, minus 42, eh? Most likely a rebellion will happen here, but we'll sort of go back to it briefly. We should also take the opportunity to destroy the Citadel of Dusk, as these guys are fairly sparsely defended, and it will probably give us the time to attack and destroy Tehanoan. Decent likelihood, however, that he will attack us here. Unless he gets into a fight with somebody else, but it looks like he's rather friendly with everybody else around him, so no dice there. Either way. We're moving rather quick, but we're bound to lose at least a couple of these settlements, so gotta be careful about over-investiture. You're gonna be deleted there, Nest Nursery. You do double your own growth, though, so I think it's worth the 500 gold. End turn. Alrighty, can we hold Tehanoan off for a couple more turns, is the question. As in, can we hold off before he comes back? Graturak has respawned. I don't know if it was a respawn, maybe. Was that the first guy we killed? I don't think it's been that many turns. Ferocious plans are up and running. Unhappy populace. Where? An Oishul. Ha. Well, that's unfortunate. Now it's gonna rebel. Alrighty, Pustin. You've no choice, my friend, but to use your resources to do this. Alright. Fortunately, they're cheap. Ian, we're gonna have you lead the attack on Chupayodal. And Lord Skrolk will reinforce in a second. This one we should be able to auto-resolve, I think. Well, then again, there are still Croxagores there. And a Saurus Scarvet to lead them as well. Again, that's early game Skaven for you. Move to reinforce right here. Let's see what we're looking at here. Decisive victory, low casualties. Hey, auto-resolve. Not bad. Not bad. And an armor of fortune. Yes, yes to Skrolk. Come to Skrolk. A loot and occupy, please. Not worth sacking, because the repair cost will be the same as we get. Ian, you do not need the armor of fortune. And... Sea Cucumber. Enables poison attacks attribute cause fear, right? Huh. I was tempted to take that off of you and put you on Slice, and does it have to be on Lords? Well, then again, the leadership reduction ain't the best. Yeah, for Skaven. Then again, the poison attack would be wasted on you, because then you'd lose Contaminated, which is probably the better thing here. Southern Sentinel is destroyed. Now, we are not at war with anybody, which ain't so great. Skrolk, I would like you to march to... Huh! March stance doesn't increase? Okay, it does now. I'd like you to march stance as close to the Southern Sentinels as possible, because the rebellion will spawn there. We'll destroy it immediately, and then try to head to the Elves. Or should we head towards these guys instead? Hard to say. These guys are probably more likely to attack us, I would say. Then again, there's Itza. Who are they fighting right now? They're fighting nobody. Everybody's likely to attack us. Well, Pustin, you've got your work cut out for you, my friend. Yeah, just keep on recruiting. Keep on recruiting, don't bother collecting income as yet. Or actually, wait, maybe we should collect income now, since it's going to rebel anyway. There's no reason not to, which means we get more recruitment capacity. Get us another Clan Rat Spear. Really need those shielded clan rats up and running. Do we upgrade Subatune first? I think we do, so that we can get shielded clan rats and access to chieftains and get a little bit more damage in. Alright, well, either way, we have to get the flesh farm. We have the food generation here, which is good. You're We could go for some warp grinders and knock down walls and stuff. They are fairly expensive to field, though. Really, it's the weapon burrow we want, so it's still not going to be quite good. And we'll probably build either the weapon burrow or more likely the engineer hut or construction cavern at Oishul as soon as it hits tier 3. And in order to make it do so, we'll just go for more growth, which still gives us more Skaven slave capacity, to be fair. Alright, Skrolk is good where he is. Ian is relatively good where he is. Also, what do we get for these things? Nothing crazy. I'm gonna start becoming a fighter, I guess. And Skrolki's minion mage, you can get Plague Rash. And it's a decent amount of Winds and Magic Reserve capacity, but we do spam Plague Rash, we do spam Pestilent Filth, we Wither is good against the enemies we're facing off against, and is also a cheap, spammable spell. The early game sort of spells, or the early portions of the spell tree is pretty good for these guys. Anyway, techs start with Driven by Hunger, and we'll go for Always More besides, and Devious Plans as soon as we're there. Minus 13% upkeep for Skaven slaves. We don't actually care about that right now. And what we probably do care about is speed for infantry units. And out of this line, there's probably nothing else until we get to Virulent Plans, which we do want, but that allows us to upgrade our various Plague Monks, which we most definitely want. Speaking of plagues, still need to get that Pestilent Knave / Plague Cauldron, but we're working on it. I mean, we're at 158 growth, which is decent. It's decent. We'll get there. Damage building here. Yeah, repair the wharf, why not? And then head into, I guess, expansionist planning for that additional growth. You're an expansionist planning yourself. No, you're an exploitative planning for the food generation. You know what? I think you're going to switch to expansionist instead. And just buff up that growth. Probably I should have done it as well, but I was thinking, oh, we might want to try to take Eats at a very high level, like a tier 4 if possible. And we are growing the food. I guess the issue is we might not have the capacity for the food there. We'll see. Anyway, skip and turn. Quickly knock out Ometa Clan, who has come back with, what, a 3/4 stack? Huh, that might actually be, it might actually warrant an actual fight. Go figure. Well, we can't leave them there. And then there are rebellions here as well, and I take it that's a Skaven rebellion in our own territory, because there's no faction other than ours that would revive in our capital. Alright, rebellion in the Kulkin Plains and Lost Valley. Loyal again, Pustin. Thanks, Pustin. Right unlocked the Dominating Scheme, which I think you have to use pretty much every time it's up. Food generation, growth control, and recruitment cost. Always use. Lovely. Lots of action for this campaign start, which I am enjoying very much. You go right here, Ian. Oh, this is just a pile of skink cohorts. Nothing to be concerned about. And I wonder if how many clan rats, what the clan rat to Skaven slave ratio here is. What do we have in terms of defenders at Oishul? We do have a Plague Monk Sensor Bearer unit, which is fine. Maybe we'll let the control go for a little bit. Keep the growth coming. There we go, 293. Yeah, I should have gone for expansionist planning earlier. Definitely my bad. Also, what do the medicinal plants do for Skaven? No growth, unfortunately. I take it the pastures is a black corn thing? Flush farm. No, I was expecting black cornfield or something. Huh. Maybe black corn is a... it's something grown in Skaven Blight, or... so maybe that is grown there. Oh well. Anyway, scroll key, kill. And decisive victory, low casualties again. Yeah, I don't think there's a need to waste our time on this. Let's give the banner to Skrolk. Auto-resolve this. It's just, if it was anything but skanks. And we'll once again take the money. Our money is actually fairly solid right now, but, you know. Talisman of Protection for Skrolk. He's getting pretty nice and fightery. I guess we're headed to Kayaks. Let us actually channel and move right to the edge of the Sentinel of Time. I wonder where you're hanging around. I have an idea where he is, though. Assuming he's not at Schlantzek, he's most likely down here. There is a Cornate faction that starts here, and another Zinchen faction. He's not at war with these guys. Either way. Ian, stay in regular stance. I would like you to recruit Skaven slaves, while you recruit basic clan rats. Let's do some sword ones, just for variety's sake. Clan rat spam. There we go. We could use it as an auto-resolve army and such. We do want to also continue growing. The Underdogs and Slave Dwarfs are a pretty good option. We're not collecting money, though, so maybe we'll do you first. At least the Southern Sentinels will be able to defend itself, to some degree. Whereas these guys attack, then, well, there's not much we can do about that. Oishul. 3 more turns until rank 3 and plague stuff. I keep wanting to say plague bearers. And they do bear plagues, but they are not plague bearers. Skip, 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 and turn. Let's see if our little lizard friends attempt to defend themselves here. Yeah, they will. Tehenoin with his red crests and his... I think he gets shielded red crests as a unique unit in SFO. And possibly something else, but I'm not so sure I remember what. Alright, well, Tehenoin. You about to die, friend? Vampire Coast Mutineers finally destroyed. Control +1 for Pustin. Sure, why not? Ian Roxborough, you're gonna move in as a reinforcement. We've got... decent defenders and decent pile of source at kayaks. Oh, he's got a freaking salamander hunting pack. That's going to be a huge issue for us. Well, well, well. We gotta get at least one more good battle this episode, and I think this one indefinitely has to be it. I think for this battle, we may want to get Wither. I don't know whether we'll use it over spamming Vermintide, but there's something of a likelihood. Well, let's strike. Are you at war with anybody? Oh, we just declared war on the deserters of Katep. Yes, please. Katep's deserters. We will join your war against the cult of Sotek, and we will ask you for a non-aggression pact. Most likely we will not remain friends with the faction and later on destroy them. At least there's a possibility. But for now, them not attacking us here will be good. Though Tomb King garrisons are trash, so it would be very easy to destroy them. I'd like to destroy the elves first because there's a guarantee that the elves attack us, and it's only a matter of time until Itza and Shlanhuapek do as well. Propose offer. Looking good. And let's help those Tomb Kings out. Come on, come on. Skaven ambush stance did not work for us, but oh well. Oh well, do we want to waste any food? We are at 93 out of 110, so we're not maxed out. Oh, he has a freaking Ark of Sotek as well as a Basti. Valiant defeat. Yeah, I can see why, game. I was really banking on that ambush. Huh. Are we able to try again, or are we not? I don't remember. We do have movement remaining. I want to see about this. Wait, back off for a sec. We won't have much movement left. You are in Skaven ambush stance. I think we have to reset the seed, meaning we have to move. What do we have here, by the way? Can you just auto-resolve this garbage? I actually like them to pop up again and stop raiding us. Oh, this ambush worked, frickin' game. Auto-resolve. Oh, and it draws out the garrison. Yeah, no wonder you're dead. I mean, we could have fought a little bit of Skaven on Skaven action, but I think that's maybe not as interesting. And, Portents of Verminous Doom. That actually might help us with our upcoming fight. Let us see you take the ransom. And then stay here, in case Itza comes around. With your, maybe not heavily armored clan rats, but somewhat armored clan rats. Take out the portents. And let's swap armors and items, which I forgot to do because I'm an idiot. Inspiring Presence. Alright, scroll key. I would like you to take the Armor Fortune, and not the portents. Actually, this gives you an additional leadership bonus where the Skaven Brew is in effect on other units. We'll do this, and we'll give you the Skaven Brew, because you can act as a supporter instead of a fighter. Now, can you do this again? Alright, still the ambush didn't work. Well, that's a shame. It's a crying shame. I'm not trying again. Let's get 2 uses of the Menace below, and let's see if we can win this. I am very concerned about the Salamanders and the Ark of Sotek, and well, there's a lot of things I'm concerned about here, but gotta do what you gotta do. Fight. Kill heathens indeed, or turn them into pus bags and plague hosts and whatever else. Anyway, here we go. This is going to be a toughie, I'd wager, because I'm not entirely sure and that we can actually win this one. And we do have reinforcements coming in, but so do the enemy, and let's face it, the enemy have a lot more elite troops than we do. They've got Tehenowen, they've got the Saurus Scarvet, the Basti, the Ark of Sotek, which are really nasty in SFO, and then of course those darn salamander hunting packs and all those reinforcements with more single entities and elites as well. 4 more Saurus units and a Saurus Scarvet and a Basti with healing crystal. Compared to our piles and piles of clan rats and Skaven slaves, it's certainly an iffy proposition. Now that said, we do have Skrolk to hopefully narrow the gap, let's say. Anyway, the main target is going to be those darn salamanders. We can't have those things firing, even for a few seconds, as they would absolutely decimate our rat lines. Speaking of the rat lines, these Skaven slaves get sent in forward with a couple of units of clan rats on the flanks to rush the salamanders, dishing out a little bit of their anti-large damage and hopefully just preventing them from firing. Our second line, made up of our shielded clan rats, is going to sit back. They will get hit by the salamanders here, but the salamanders in turn will get hit by our plague claw catapults. Our flankers are looping around the enemy army as well, with the blight scabs plague pack moving in from the right flank to try to hit that salamander pile, and the 2 units of regular plague monks getting ready to smash into the enemy's back line as well. Alrighty, nice proper big battle with a solid disparity in troops as well. Alrighty, and those darn salamanders are still firing. It looks like, unfortunately, the plague claws are not going to dish out enough damage to them, so we're going to leave it to hopefully the Skaven slave slingers to dish it out. Lots of splash damage coming in from them. On the bright side, on the right flank, these salamanders have been by and large destroyed and are shattered in attempting to get out of there, while Skrolk now turns his attentions towards the Kroxigors and the Ark of Sotek as well, which is repeatedly spawning those snakes beneath our rat feet. Our adorable little rat paws. Alright, and there's that Ark of Sotek. We did bring the Blight Scabs units to start whacking away at it. Gonna need that armor piercing, as basically nothing in our army will be able to do anything to this unit. Kroxigors, by the looks of it, are having a pretty darn great time against the piles of clan rats and Skaven slaves, but we once again gotta remember that we got more units where that came from. Now, our second line has joined the fight as the clan rats with shields have moved on in, and our reinforcements are arriving on the field. That said, so are the enemy reinforcements, and the only saving grace to this is going to be the fact that the regular Saurus are rather slow at only 32 move speed, which is alright. We also have Tehenowen and a second enemy Saurus Scarvet in the middle of the fight, but we're going to be ignoring them rather than attempting to bring them down, as they just have too much HP to deal with. Maybe actually not Tehenowen. We might have been able to send Skrolk in, but he's a little bit busy with the Kroxigors and with the Basti with Ark of Sotek up here. And they're oh my lord, the death roll. Oh, beautiful. And did he just swallow that rat? I have never seen the Kroxigors do that. Do they only do that with rats, or do they do that with regular infantry as well? Can they swallow a Chaos Warrior? I want to see more of this. Oh, fantastic. That was fantastic, Kroxigor. You get to live. You run away. I enjoyed that very much. Anyway, but not too much. Basti with Ark of Sotek now at about half HP, and the Kroxigors are obviously running, and Skrolk is trying to hold it back and pin it in place, while the Blight Scabs Plague Pack dish out damage to it, and of course the Skaven Slave Slingers focus it down as well. We're still distracting enemy units, but it looks like these Saurus Warriors are halfway to us. But our piles of additional Skaven Slaves and Clan Rats are moving on, or moving in as well. Huh, I noticed that the regular clan rats, even the clan rats with shields, are a tier 1 unit. That's kind of interesting. Not tier 2. Yeah, well, I guess elven spears are tier 2, and you can't compare the elven spears to clan rats. Damn, unfortunately, very unlucky for us, the enemy was smart enough to move its Basti with Revivification Crystal into the fight, right beside the Ark of Sotek, which means that the Ark of Sotek will be receiving heals from the Basti. We're still going to try to focus it down with Skrolk and our Lord and just keep drowning the rest of the enemy army in bodies while we attempt to bring these darn dinos down. A glorious fight this time around by the looks of it. The Basti is down to 1000 HP, but still just barely holding on. That Reviv Crystal certainly working wonders for the AI. One time it was smart enough to actually properly position these guys together. Alright, it does look like the Ark of Sotek will break and hopefully will move far enough away from the Basti, or maybe we can bring it down with the slings. Skrolk and Ian are giving chase. The slings continue to somewhat harmlessly just smash off of its armor. But it will at last go down. Doesn't mean we're done, however, as the bounce power is only at about 65% in our favor, and the Basti with Reviv Crystal is still at full HP. Still getting plenty of value out of those units of Skaven Slave Slingers, and there's a good reason why we built them, as they are dishing out the damage while the droves of clan rats and Skaven slaves hold back at the tide of Saurus. It looks like the enemy units of Saurus warriors have arrived, and it's time to send in our own quote-unquote elites. And I say quote-unquote because the Plague Monks are a tier 2 unit. They're still very, very fragile, and unlike the Sensor Bearers, they don't have the armor piercing to do crazy amounts of damage. But with a unit of Saurus pinned in place by the clan rats with shields, 2 units of Plague Monks should be able to rip into this unit fairly quickly. I will eventually send this unit in, but frankly it's kind of hard to control 2 armies full of rats at once, especially since they're constantly routing and rallying over and over and over again. It's always quite hectic controlling multiple Skaven armies at once. Anyway, the Plague Monks have made it in. I just think I just ordered them in rather than repositioning them too properly, but fortunately the Saurus Warrior unit is not having a particularly great time pinned between all 3 units. The fight does continue, and we've been in essentially a pitched battle for about 6 minutes straight, so it's a pretty darn solid fight. Saurus warriors absolutely hacking their way through droves of clan rats, but as you may notice, we're not really running out of them. Many are routing, but we're also repeatedly summoning them with both Vermintide and the Menace below. Alright, and it looks like in certain parts of the battlefield, the limited remaining units are starting to get surrounded by the rats from all sides. A beautiful sight, and it looks like back here the Basti with Reviv Crystal has been brought down as well. The bounce power shifts to about 80% in our favor now. Tehedaman is still fighting, so are all of his single entities, but it looks like the left flanking Saurus have now collapsed as well. Just gotta work on these 2. Looks like Tehedaman will hit us with a Flock of Doom, gotta watch out for those, as it is very, very effective a spell against piles of rats. Especially as we do have a tendency to blob up. Looks like Lord Skrolk has found himself a bit of an opponent here, as the red-crested skink chief, similar to Tehedaman, has been distracted by Skaven slaves and clan rats for the entire pile, and Skrolki's Sensor Bearer, or Skrolki's Sensor, Plague Sensor, will demolish said red-crested skink. Now, Skrolk may look old and frail, and though he is extremely old, in fact he's lived multiple Skaven lifetimes, he is by no means frail. He's got super plague powers, and it makes him extremely strong and capable, regardless of how he looks. But that's just generally sort of the thing for both Plague Priests or Plague Monks or Nurglite factions as well. Anyway, with that, it looks like the enemy army will shatter, and the battle will be ours with the one small exception of Mr. Tehedaman, who is unbreakable and will fight to the last. Skrolk will not bother to fight fair, however, keeping the Plague Rats, or they're all Plague Rats, in Clan Pestilens. The Skaven slaves probably have the worst fate of any particular creature in the in Warhammer. Well, Warhammer Fantasy, let's say. Just generally speaking. If we compare them to a specific class, let's say. I mean, obviously there's individuals that have suffered worse, but any specific class like Bretonnians or, I don't know, Elven Lowborn, whatever. Elven Lowborn are fine. Even the Dark Elven ones are fine. But anyway, what I was getting at is that life sucks for Skaven slaves. It really, really sucks for Clan Pestilens Skaven slaves, who have it even worse, because they're implaginated on top of everything, and they don't get the benefits of the favor of the Horned Rat. Anyway, a Pyrrhic victory for us. We threw rat after disposable rat at the enemy, and that allowed us to carry the day. Alrighty, there we go. Pyrrhic victory game, no such thing for the Skaven. Victory is victory is victory. Got a Scepter of Stability for our trouble? Don't really care unless we want to use maybe a spell that would hurt our own units. I guess it has some potential there. We got 2,000 gold for a reward, which we will need as soon as we hit tier 3 and start getting those expensive units on the field. Decent amount of the enemy did escape, but I'm hoping that we can still auto-resolve their remnants. And yeah, we'll sell them off again. Nice job to Skrolk, who got 26k damage. Obviously, the Plague Claws got 21 and 24. Not as much as Skrolk, but still solid. And then obviously the bulk of the damage came from the various Plague Monk units. Lovely. Sell off. And I assume we can reach Kayaks. We got the defeated Tehenoan trait, though frankly it's not a particularly good trait. Potion of Foolhardiness for Ian, sure. And you guys... Oh, Ian is not in range, is he? Wait, is he in range of the main settlement? He is not. I should have moved him in march stance, but oh well. Clan Scryer Saboteur, income from sacking settlements. I guess Skrolk might occasionally sack a settlement, so sure. Oh! It can only be given to assassins. Oh, that's interesting. And the engineering students can only be given to engineers. Go figure. Why don't you give us something that can only be given to the Plague Monks? Ooh, speaking of. Causes Terran enemy armor reduction. And we'll want to level up Plague Lord. I forgot to save the points for these things because I'm stupid. Ooh, wait. Plague Lord, probably more important. It will give us the ability to build more Plague Priests, and we certainly need them. Anyway, go kill this, see if you can't ambush. Come on, ambush this time. No, still no dice. And it will kill off a bunch of... Oh, it will kill off the Blight Scab's Plague Pack. That's annoying. That's annoying. Alright, I'm gonna quick save because I don't trust the game. My PC gets really angry when it encounters Skaven, so we're gonna fight this manually at max speed, but I don't want my PC to crash after all this episoding. It's a long episode, but the first episode is always a little bit longer than normal. And, oh, I got reinforcements coming in as well. Cultisotek 1, Cultisotek 1, okay. I can't believe the auto-resolve is gonna kill our poor Blight Scab's Plague Pack. But oh well, what can you do? Probably should have ended the episode here, but anyway, start battle. Let's move you guys into position. Get the Skaven slaves out front, because we were going to let them die to auto-resolve anyway. And if they die, they die. You guys go out here, Skrolk can go out here, and then the slightly healthier units can be behind you. With these guys in reserve, because we don't actually necessarily want them to die, like so. Then we will get the Plague Monks here, and then the Hurt units Plague Monks here. Skrolk can be group 1, you can be group 2, everybody but Skrolk can be group 2, you can be group 3, 4, 5, and 6. I said 6, not 7. Why you do this game? Alright, start battle. Hit the skink skirmishers, hit the red-crested skinks, annoy them with a nice menace below. And Skrolk move forward. Let's speed up the matter. Alright, just this shout out. Teensy bit of deck. Actually, didn't want you going after those guys. Let's get you vermintiding up front. And you guys move forward a little bit. The enemy reinforcements, single entities are coming in, but hopefully we can do a decent bit of damage to the other units. Okay, the Plague Claw's accuracy certainly leaves some to be desired. But hardly surprising. Oh, these guys are gonna go into Rampage, eh? Well, you know who can't dodge? Those who are in Rampage. Alright, I was hoping to catch the Skink Chief here. Hello. Let's have the Slingers attack you. Skaven Slaves, Sand Slingers, move out here. Unlock yourselves. Alright, keep attacking that Salamander Hunting Pack. You know what, we should probably use the Skaven Slave Slingers for that. Alright, another Menace below out here, just to continue distracting the enemy. And Skrolk, move on in, help the Skaven Slaves. Take out that hunting pack. Don't care about the Skaven Slaves getting damaged. I do care about everybody else, so you're all just going to sit back, relax, etc. And another Vermintide? Give her another Vermintide. Keep distracting the enemy with spawns. And there we go. The Salamanders are nearly done. Go annoy the Kroxigors a little bit. You go annoy this. Alright, these guys actually need to rout before we're good, though. And we can switch you now to firing on, let's say, that unit. Alright, you, melee Skaven Slaves, go attack this. Skrolk, move in. You're gonna need to kill this guy off. Somebody needs to chase down that Skink Chief. You guys are gonna stay here, and you guys will see off those reinforcements. Plague Monks, get ready to move. You guys chase this unit down because it's broken and not actually... I wonder if we could kill off this guy. No, probably not. Alright, let's pop that Festering Pool, I don't know, right here. It's not really gonna hurt the Kroxigors, but, you know, I'll do something. Alright, and then Slingers, you can in fact kill the Kroxigors, so go here. Skrolk, keep fighting. Let's go for a Wither on the blob of Kroxies to make them weaker, and you can keep fighting in melee. And Plague Catapults, stop dropping those shots there. Good, good. Alright. Just a matter of time now. Skrolk, you don't need the spell resistance. You're getting a little bit of damage from fighting that Source Scarvet, but not so damaged that you're concerned. Alright, these guys have shattered, and you guys just wait for the reinforcements to arrive. Let's see if at least one of these projectiles manages to hit this guy. He's got 441 HP. Skrolk, summon another unit of clan rats out here. Actually, I probably should have summoned it right in the middle of the Kroxigors, but whatever, all good. Alright. Oh, look at they're all getting around him and not a single one actually manages to land on him. That's kind of funny. But it's equally annoying. Alright, you're good. Kroxigors are dead. Let's speed it back up to max. We need to heal anybody. You know what? Go kill this guy. You charge towards him. Everybody charge him from different directions. Alright, and Slingers go after this guy. And Catapults go after this guy. Speed it back up to max. Where are you gonna go? Skrolk, kill, good. And there it is. Alright, just destroy this guy just in case. I'm 99% sure this army will be destroyed, but why risk it, right? Oh, auto-resolve. Why you want to kill this army? This guy really surviving? Alright, Bless with Filth, where is it? Right here. Poison this guy so he slows down. Did you miscast? Of course you miscast. And this guy's gonna get away. The lizards run surprisingly fast, faster than the rats, despite the fact that the rats are the ones known for scurrying away. Alright, well, I would wager that Mr. Tehanoin is not going to get the opportunity to recover from that. Maybe he has another army waiting nearby to immediately attack us, but I'd wager we're okay. Alright, we will sell off once again, just gonna keep playing it reasonably riskily. That army is destroyed and... oh. This guy, right. Ooh, I thought the auto-resolve would have killed off. Okay, no, we're good, we're good, we're good. Auto-resolve, good. A Banner of Eternal Flame. Interesting. Alright, why not? Getting some decent items this time around. We can occupy to tier 3 and use up all our food should we desire to do so, but right now the plus 30 growth, I think, is giving us quite a lot of value, plus the leadership. Plus, and this is probably not the place we want to tier 3. I'd much rather have Itza with its landmark at tier 3 instead, so we'll take it at a regular tier 1 and allow it to grow. Also, with it being on the coastline and close to the... close to these guys, there's a decent likelihood that they will attack us. I'd say a very high likelihood, in fact. Anyway, scroll key. You have a lot of space, so what we're going to do... Pustin is fine. He's doing Pustin things. It's what Pustin does. Southern Sentinel is surprisingly not rebelling, but we can collect the income here in a... Well, no, that'll lower the growth. Growth here is pretty darn solid, also. Clan barracks and more growth? Or do we actually get... We really could have used a couple of those wolf rats in this battle. Especially the poison wolf rats. You know what? Still growth here, but probably wolf rats soon. Pustin, go to the Sentinel of Time. And then get ready to jump to the Southern Sentinels. You can collect the income. Technically, you're both collecting the income, but you're fine. Scroll key. What I would like you to do is to join this unit of Skaven slaves, join this unit of Skaven slaves. The slingers are, however, fine. You can then build a slinger, and then... Actually, just delete this Skaven slave. And delete this Skaven slave. There we go. Build those, you can build the rest. Lovely. Alright, that works. Is there any reason I built one of the guys with the swords rather than the spears? We need them with spears. I did it the wrong way around. You build swordman, sword spearman. Sword spearman? What am I... what am I even saying? Yeah, our food's almost maxed out. Maybe we take the Citadel of Dusk at tier 3, I don't know. I'm kind of now regretting not building this one up to tier 3, but it's not like our food generation is crazy right now anyway, so... I'll think about it. Relatively close to the Citadel of Dusk anyway. Let's end the turn, I guess. Oh, no end turn. Kulkin Plains. I didn't do ya. Let's go for Chupayodal upgrade, and we can go for a food structure here. 4 more food. Alright. This place can just rebel and grow and whatnot. We'll make our money and our military out of Weishul and the Lost Valley, presumably. End turn. Let's see if there's any more war declarations. I'm really curious if there was a, you know, like a full stack waiting out here, or whether that was these guys' only army. And if it was, why was it? Is it just perhaps because it's early in the game, or did they waste it attacking something else? Because if they did, they screwed themselves. Alright, I see no further armies. And I think with that, folks, we're out of time. People are tired, the rats have gone on, the Liber Bubonicus is unlocked.
And terrible power. I see you have hidden it away as bait for unsuspecting man-things. It appears the trap has been sprung. Now it is time to recover your book.
I miss you, Advisor Man. Anyway, we won't be able to reach Schlampek and Happy Populace in Subaton. Go figure. Alright, that's fine. Shroud of Dripping Death from growing your forces, and what I wanted was this. Physical resistance for accompanying Lord, casualty punishment rate plus 50 for only this guy. Feral Rage, no thank you. Yeah. Although, 25% physical resistance on a Plague Furnace could be quite powerful. I'm gonna have to give that some thought, but that thought will have to be given next episode, because we're out of time, and I'm gonna have to call it here. Next time, we kill off Tehenaman, we kill off the elves, and then we proceed northward, either to destroy the dwarfs before they get strong, or to get started on Itza. Since Oishul will be reaching tier 3 in 2 turns, we will then be able to, next episode, also unlock the Plague Rite, as well as Plague Claw Catapults, as well as Plague Monks, as well as whatever else we unlock via those things. Also, we can get a Chieftain right now, can't we? Yes, we can. Yes, we do. Rat Acrobatics. Fantastic. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff we will be getting to try out next episode as Clan Pestilens arises once more. Always a menace to Lustria, aren't they? Anyway, more rattlings to come, so stay tuned. Don't forget to leave those likes and comments below. All glory to the algorithm, and thanks for watching.